Welcome back to Gentry's Garage. Figured I'd do a little shop update and introduce you to one of my other cars. If you've seen any of my videos, you've probably seen it in the background, and I've been doing that on purpose, just kind of waiting. This is a car I built a few years ago. It's a car I've wanted to build for a long time, and I finally got to at least get it closer to where I want it. But it needs a little work. I want to introduce it to you, and I'm going to do a little maintenance on it today. So here it is. This is my 1933 Plymouth two-door sedan. It's had a pretty rough life. When I picked it up, it was just a shell, and the top had been crushed, both sides. I put anchors in the floor of my old garage and straightened it out. And I found two doors for it. This is a 34 door. And it was missing the whole bottom of it. I had to rebuild it. And I had to stretch the top because the 33 and the 34s have a different windshield angle. So the driver's side door, it took me 2 years to find it. And finally got everything together. It's got a 300 rear gear with a posi and 31-inch tall rear tires. So it really calms it down a little bit, but it's a 440, punch 40 over, 67 head, small chamber. If everything looks right from what I'm figuring, it's 400 to maybe 450 horse, and then somewhere upwards of 500 foot-pounds of torque, just by the numbers I put together. It has a aftermarket 32 Ford grill on it because that was the easiest and cheapest to find at the time when I built it. I did build all of this on a budget. Later, after I got it built and drove it the first time, I built this 440 and put in it, and then I broke the transmission shortly after that and built a new transmission for it. So it's factory suicide doors. I had to rebuild all of the hinges because they were cut off with a blowtorch at one point in time. I haven't finished the latches yet because, you know, it's my stuff and nothing ever gets finished. She is a little dirty. It's coilovers all the way around. The rear end is a triangulated 4-link. And it's channeled but not chopped. The Plymouths had a taller body on them and a shorter window section up top, so they look chopped from the factory. And I did paint this in my garage. It's 3 tones. I painted the whole car blue and then painted from here up white to match the white walls. The blue is a factory Chrysler blue to match the engine, and then painted it black and rubbed through everything. It is finished as far as the paint goes. I do want to put an interior in it, or as far as door panels and stuff. I'm just going to do aluminum door panels and some that wraps around the back, and I have a sliding top to finish putting on it. But today all I'm going to be working on are these leaky exhaust manifold bolts, or header bolts. Here a while back, I put this Panovac system on it. The Panovac system just draws all your positive pressure out of the engine and lets the exhaust eat it up. So it seems to be helping, and when I did it, I got 2 of the bolts that didn't seal up. So right back here, I got 2 bolts that are leaking because they go into the water jackets. There's 8 bolts on these, 4 on each head, that go into water jackets. So most of them sealed. I've just got 2 that didn't. So I'm gonna fire it up and back it up. I could push it back, but then I wouldn't be able to cold start it for you. So here we go. This car is extremely fun to drive. It's very different. It makes a lot of rear grip. I'm sure the rear weight on the car is pretty heavy, because it'll slide the tires really easy in the front without even trying. But it's a fun little car to drive. Needs cleaned up a little bit. But I really need to get this leak fixed so I can drive it more. Right now it's really hot. So what I'm probably gonna do is just drain the antifreeze out, pull these bolts out, clean the threads and let them dry. And then I've got some high temp silicone I'll seal them with. And then depending on how dirty the antifreeze is, I'll put it back in. Because I just did this not too long ago. If you can look down in here, right here, right behind the motor mount, there is a plug in the block. So you pull this plug out, it'll drain this side of the block. So like if you ever want to change heads or anything like that, instead of getting all that antifreeze inside your cylinders, if you drain it through this plug, it'll drain this side of the block, and then you won't have to worry about it. I did reseal my valve covers, but I got this one's leaking just a little bit, so I'm gonna have to look at that too while I got it apart. So I'm gonna start by draining the antifreeze, letting her cool down a little bit since I just started it. It's a little hot, and get her back together. Hopefully that light doesn't pulse too much for y'all. So I'm gonna bust this loose. And if these have been sitting for a while, there will be buildup behind them, and you'll have to take a little punch or a screwdriver or pick or something and pull it out. It's a little dirty. Now this will drain about half the radiator, a little more than half the radiator, 3/4 the radiator, and this whole side of the engine, but it will not drain the other side. Alright, so the cap is still tight. I'm gonna pop the cap. There we go. A little dirty, so I'm gonna go ahead and put new stuff in it and treat it like a flush. Made me feel better about spending all the money on antifreeze. See, it's just a little plug. All right, so I'm gonna let that drain for a little while, and then once it's done draining, I'll come back and pull the bolts and dry the holes out really good, and seal them up. Okay, so while that's draining, I'm going to go over here and show you Frank. This is Frank. Frank is a 1969 Chevy C50. And I've had Frank for, I think, 4 years now, maybe 5. And he's had a few different setups. When I first got it, it came out of a field, and I rebuilt the engine and I got it running and driving. And I wanted to lower it. I did not like the way the stance was. I always wanted to lower it from the minute I got it. But with the original frame that was underneath it in the front end, it wouldn't work right. So I did some work to it, and it's got a 79 front end underneath it now. 1 ton front end with air ride. It's a little dirty, but it's all been rebuilt. Brand new air ride, brand new ball joints, tie rods, everything. See? Still haven't even put the rest of the stuff on it yet because I've been waiting for the next part. So, and I really want to put a diesel in it, like a Duramax. I've got a 12 valve, but it won't fit. It's too long and it won't fit in the engine bay with intercoolers, radiators, and you know, all that good stuff. So I put together a little LS for now with a chopper copper cam in it and a 4L80 to go behind it. So the inside, I've got a bench seat for it that's we've had recovered and rebuilt. It does have damage on the back of the truck. It used to be a Garland refuse truck, and I didn't want to get rid of the damage. I wanted to keep it, so it's got a Lexan window in it, and I put a new rubber gasket and re-seam sealed all the top. So built some stacks for it years ago. So I'm going to keep the stacks and integrate them into a bed. And then there's the airbags for the back, and it'll have a Hydro Boost set up on it. I've got a better one than this one, but it'll have a Hydro Boost set up on it. And 4-link in the back with those air ride, and the back of the frame will get clipped off. But this is going to be coming up soon. It's pulled up under here to start getting some stuff ready for it. Been waiting on this truck for a long time, and I really want it together. One of the things I really got to fix is where it's rotted right here. Not just to fix the rot, but it leaks from the back of the hood right down across the top of the engine. So I want all that fixed so it doesn't leak on the engine. The truck has a decent amount of lightning in it, it's rot, but I'm not worried about any of that. I like the character, I like the way it is, so I'm going to leave a lot of that alone. And he is just a neat little truck. I clear coated it years ago and it's set outside, so it needs to be cleaned off, and then I'm going to use some either Pappies or something like that, patina on it. But it's a neat truck and I love it. So it's coming soon. I'm gonna get back over here and check on this antifreeze and see how it's doing. This shouldn't leak too much, but it may vent this side of the engine and let it drain a little bit better. Oh, look good. See where all the threads are completely wet all the way up to the head. Okay, so I've got some red high temp RTV on them. The other ones are already started. And I'll tighten these up, and then I'm going to let them sit for a little while to make sure that they dry all the way. I've already got the plug back in. I've already got the plug back in the side of the engine, and then I'm going to use new antifreeze, since that other stuff was just a little bit dirty. I believe this one here was the one that was really leaking the worst. The other three didn't seem to be leaking too bad. And the driver's side is okay, so we're going to leave that one alone. and let this dry for a little bit. While I'm waiting on the header bolts to dry, I'm going to pull this cover off and reseal it, or check the seal on it, see if I can see where it's leaking. I've always had issues with these valves, not these valve covers, but valve covers leaking on these heads. I do want to upgrade these heads to aluminum heads, but I haven't done it yet. They're going to cost money, and I've got too many cars to build. Some people have. Very back of the valve cover. Yep. Very back of the valve. I'm going to have to put 2 new gaskets on this, even though these are new. And seal the very back edge of this valve cover. Okay. See if the other one's leaking in the same place. Okay, so here's the inside of the engine. Just using some steel roller tip rockers with adjustable, they're adjustable up here on the push rods. I got hydraulic lifters in it. The cam's about, I think if I remember right, it was a 505 or a 510 lift. And these I think are 1/6-to-1 rocker arms. They're nothing super special. They're just some low buck roller tip rockers I could find for a big block Mopar. So the valve cover is leaking on the head side back here in the back, so I just RTV'd a little bit, just want it to stop leaking so it stops making a mess of everything, and hopefully that'll work. If this doesn't work, I guess I'll just have to upgrade to a set of aluminum cylinder heads, because that fixes the problem every time. In my mind, anyway. So I'll put this thing back together, fill it with antifreeze, and see what it does. This does get a big bubble in it, so I'll have to let it burp. And after it does that, we'll take it for a ride. Okay. So just let it warm up a little bit. Let it get this bubble out. I built these headers out of a big block Chevy lake style header kit, and then I just got my own flanges for the head, and there's a muffler inside. Sounds pretty good, and it doesn't absolutely kill the ears either. back in the shop. The 300 rear gear in this really calms it down a lot. It makes it easier to drive on the freeway. I can run 70, 75 with the 727. It has no overdrive, and still only turn, you know, 2300 RPMs. So it makes it nice and easy on the drivetrain, and still has plenty of power just to absolutely rip the tires off the car if you want to. I'll walk out here to the end of the driveway. And that was just a quick little burp of the throttle. And you know, it does okay. Especially with as expensive those tires are, I don't want to be letting all the smoke out of them immediately. You know, I know it's been a little while since I put a video up, and just wanted to show you what else we've done. My dad lives next door, and we, with the help of some friends, got a new driveway put in, patio cover, or a front patio on his shop, and it's got a lean-to on the side too, so it gives him a lot more shade. And I'm still cleaning up from it a little bit. We also went on vacation and took a little time for ourselves, but we're back at it now. So I'm going to try to get some of this stuff together for y'all, you know, for me too, but see if we can't get some other cool stuff built around here and move forward on some of these projects. The 69's coming up. I'll be working on the 37 next again. So I really appreciate y'all watching, and until next time, thanks for watching Gentry's Garage. Y'all have a good one.